Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Today I'm working on this 8-ball. Let me tell you where I'm at. I've already done some work on it. So it came in not working, and it was actually all disassembled. It came like this. Nothing on the playfield. All the parts are over here in boxes, boxed up. You know, I unboxed some of the parts, but it's all disassembled. This way it came. So I hope all the parts are there. I'm told they're all there. I'm going by that. So what I did so far, I the rectifier board's all been rebuilt. It's cool. They somebody's put the rectifiers up on top of the board with heat sinks and repinned it all. It's like, cool. Don't have to mess with that. Solenoid board. So I had all my voltages here. I go up here. I didn't have my 5 volts. Ended up putting a new 5-volt regulator there. I also didn't have my my high voltage. I replaced that resistor. I think it was that transistor. It's been a few weeks since I've messed with this. I replaced that transistor there, and I think it was just those two. Anyway, I got my high voltage going. So that was good. This board here, I didn't have my 7th blink. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't have my... Typically, the most common reason for that is you don't have your 40-volt signal getting over here. So I repinned here, I repinned here, actually, maybe I didn't repin there, but I did measure my voltage here. I haven't repinned this game yet. Sorry, a different Bally game. But I did measure that I had my 40 volts coming in. But this says CR52. This is a different Bally board. They only used it on a handful of games, 2 or 3 games, like Graining the Gators and I think Miss Pac-Man. It has a diode here instead of the resistor, and it doesn't have a 7th blink. So it was actually okay without the 7th blink, but to get it to boot up with it in an 8-ball, you got to basically downgrade it, put that resistor in there. And this is all documented in PinWiki. After I figured it out on my own, I was trying to figure out, I went through this timing circuit, and it was just like all messed up. And I was like, dang, that should be a resistor. And I was like figuring it out. And so anyway, I reburned the ROMs, put the jumpers on there for those ROMs, for those type of ROMs. It's booting up. I got 7 flashes. I'm good. Okay, and then I'm not. All of a sudden, it's not. And I actually saw a little spark over here on the rectifier board. I figured a fuse block popped. I'm like, oh well, crap, something shorted. I buzz out the fuses. They're all good. And I started looking a little closer, and like, look. Let me zoom in here so you can see a little bit better. Like, some of this stuff is not soldered up. A random little hair there, but look at that. It's not soldered in. Maybe there's a little bit of solder on the back of the board, but it's got to go to the front of the board too. Even these little, let me pull off this header pin here, show you. If I can get in there, if I can zoom in close enough. That socket right there I'm looking at, or the pin going through there, it's dry on the front of the board. Now this pin, it may not matter, but some of them, it does. So, you know, when you're flowing solder, you got to make sure it goes through both sides of the board. And you solder from the back side, and you got to heat it up and let it flow through. And I don't think that was done. So, anyway, this thing has failed. So, my goal this morning here is pull this board off here and basically either fix it or replace it. I don't know what the deal is. It's not working. It doesn't have any of the voltages. So I'm thinking the 110 is not getting out. So the 110 comes in on this pin, this connector here. It's the I think it's the yellow and the white wire there. I think is the 110 coming in. So it comes in on couple of these pins and gets distributed to everything else. So, and then it leaves and goes to this transformer and comes back. So, anyway, something's not right. So I already started unscrewing it, but I haven't finished. So I'm gonna pull this thing out and take it to the bench and figure out what the heck is going on. At a minimum, I'm gonna resolder everything because it needs that. So I get this rectifier board out. You can kind of see it better. Some of these are they're just really dry. So it's soldered on the back side and it didn't flow through those 3. That one there is also just barely. That one, it might have caught the corner, I don't know. These diodes here, they're looking a little suspicious. So I'm gonna go through here and try to resolder this thing and make it a little more robust. Because right now, I mean, it was working, and literally, like I said, I saw a little spark. I don't know exactly where it came from. I just saw the flash, and then the game went off. So I think something had just a whole bunch of current going through a little bit of solder, and that it got hot and popped, and that was the end of that circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get these things nailed down a little bit better. Talk about a mess. So that pin there, I didn't undo that. So it's not connected to that trace. And this one here is the same. So it's supposed to be connected to that trace there. So yeah, this is I'm about tempted to just throw this new one in there, but just for fun, I'm gonna go ahead and fix this. I can bridge that one fairly easy, and I can scrape that off and bridge that one too. I got the board back in there. I don't have it bolted in, but I got it plugged in. Let's see. Oh, we have power at least. It was dead. Let's see if it's blinking. I heard a relay click. No sounds, but maybe that's normal for this game. I don't know. We've got lights, we've got displays. I don't know if there's credit. Yeah, let's see ya. Trying to open the coin door here. Yeah, it's got a chime box. Huh. Let's just real quick go through the solenoid test. Well, I'm pressing the button and it's not advancing. It went once, but not past that. I don't know. I guess I'll deal with that another time. We do not have the tester not working. I mean, it went out of the regular mode, but not very far. So this thing stopped working a couple minutes after I put it in there. I'm gonna do what I should have done in the first place is I'm gonna put in this Weebly board. This is a kit I put together, I don't know, probably a year ago. You just buy the blank board and throw all the components on there. And so all you got to do is take the wires that are soldered poorly on the back of this one and solder them onto here. So, and then this thing will be rock solid. Okay, so I got that fresh rectifier board, got all the wire solder on there. If you're wondering when you go, I wasn't going to use this as a guide because who knows if any of those were even right. They probably were, but this one's not labeled, and the layout's slightly different. You got to get the schematics out. First set of schematics I've got several hard copies here for different value games. This one doesn't have the numbers because this one has like the numbers E5 and E6 on the back of the board. They're actually on the front of the board too, like E11, blah blah blah, E7. So those numbers are printed on some of the schematics, like this one here, which happens to be, well, I'm missing the front page, so I don't know what it is. Anyway, so these first row numbers, those are on the numbers on the transformer. Like, hard to see, there's a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Those represent those numbers there, and there's no more numbers on the back side, but those numbers on there, then they go to the rectifier board, E3, E4, E5, E6, and those are printed on the board, so you know where to solder them. So you basically unsolder wire, you got to find the orange wire, trace it over here, find that number there, go to, let's say that's like a 6, then you find E4 and solder it to E4, and you do that, well, that many times, and then you're done. So I got it in there, I got the power plugged in, so this basically gives power to the rectifier, or to the transformer, which gives the power back in via the back of the board. Those wires are soldered. So now I can measure my test points. And I will say one thing about this board I don't like that well is the test points are these little pads, like that one right there, that's TP3, and they're spread around the board, so you kind of got to hunt. I like the old-fashioned one where they're at the top, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I know the order and I know what they're supposed to be. These I have to hunt and peck. But anyway, I've got all my voltages, so I'm going to turn the game off, plug everything back in again, and see if it boots up. All right, we're back in business. I think I'll leave this thing running for a while. I don't think we'll have any problem with that new rectifier board. It'll be fine. That other thing was a mess. Somebody had tried to fix it and just, it's good to try. Just wasn't a successful attempt. Note to self, beware of games with come in boxes.